It is a small world after all.
So I actually had no idea about Screamboat until I was at the theater and I saw it on the display. I was like, "What is Screamboat? It seems like it'd be a horror movie." And then I look up the poster and I'm like, "Holy shit! Is that Steamboat Willie? Is a Screamboat Willie movie? How is this even possible?" I mean, and it's from the producers of the Terrifier franchise and The Mean One. If you don't know The Mean One was the horror live action movie adaptation of The Grinch in modern times. It was absolutely hilarious. And with David Howard Thornton playing the Grinch, who is the one that played Art, right, from Terrifier. And he is also the guy that plays Screamboat Willie. I was shocked. I was like, oh man, I have to see this and I need to know why or how this movie was able to be made. I know that Disney pretty much holds on to the balls of all their IPs, so there's no way that they're going to let someone make a horror movie about one of their characters. But turns out last year, in the beginning of last year, Steamboat Willie went into public domain, which is wild. And it turns out a week or so later, they announced this film was going to be made. And it was directed by none other than Stephen Lamorte, right? Who did direct The Mean One and is a producer on the Terrifier franchise. And the movie is very similar to like, Blood and Honey or that random movie Piglet, like a horror movie called Piglet. Like any of these fairy tale horror movies that get made, the Gingerbread Man that get made that, are obviously parodies of who they are, interpreting, but they're also just comedic horror movies. And that's exactly what this was. It wasn't serious. It was absolutely hilarious, but it was definitely a Steamboat Willie horror movie, right? So the story follows Steamboat Willie, right? He ends up meeting Walt back in the day, and they end up running this steamboat together, and they're all happy. And then he ends up meeting Minnie, the love of his life, and he's not even like in the pictures they show, he's like a mouse, but I guess he did a lot of drugs because now he's like this decrepit man rat. It's so random, but they end up having this beautiful life on this steamboat, and one day or one night there's this storm, there's a crazy hurricane, and Minnie ends up falling overboard, and so he loses the love of his life. And then shortly after, Walt ends up passing away after I'm assuming in that reality, in that world, made Disneyland still. So Willie ends up losing it and getting all crazy, and he barricades himself in the bottom of the steamboat for whatever reason. And it turns out that later he is somehow released. Like they use the same steamboat to rebuild this ferry in New York, and he ends up living beneath it and then ends up like being released or coming out of his slumber because of these two engineers, and ends up pretty much killing a bunch of people on this ferry trying to use the ferry to find Minnie and Walt technically, but more or less Minnie because she was lost at sea. It is very outrageous. He ends up pretty much trying to kill everybody on the boat. People have to band together to try to stop him. It is just your classic random monster movie, but it's not a monster because he's like fucking little man rat. It's so weird. And the way the effects are, like most of the kills are all in practical effects, which is awesome. But himself, Willie, you could very much see he's obviously green screen to make himself look smaller. And it's like that classic, like with Chucky, where you can obviously see it's a doll attacking someone, not a real thing. And it is just genuinely hilarious. It is so funny. So many good Disney references and Disney jokes. Stephen Morte was actually not a fan of the Disney IP in general. So I guess that's why he wanted to like take this on and make this a movie, which is I'm totally fine with. I'm pretty sure the same thing was thought about Blood and Honey of Winnie the Pooh. But it was hilarious. And then there's like this main group of girls that are like insufferable as fuck, right? Like the whole movie is very it's like takes place in New York, so everybody in it is got this New York swag, right? Everything's fuck you, fuck this, fuck that, fucking love New York, right? And so there's these group of girls that are like dressed up. It's the one girl's birthday, but they're all ironically dressed up as Disney princesses, right? You have Cindy, and it's her birthday, right? She's Cinderella. You had Ariel, Jazz, who was Jasmine technically, Belle, and Aurora, who was Aurora, right? And it's just, they're awesome. Like, it's so bad. Like, the movie was shit for sure. It's definitely a B slasher, but it was good. It was a fun one-off that I'm so glad was made, and I would definitely suggest you all to see it. There's an amazing post-credit scene that even shows like that there could easily be another one, and I would be very fucking down. I would be so with it. But yeah, I would definitely say to check it out if you're a fan of just, that fairy tale horror genre that's not really a thing, but it totally exists. If you're a fan of that, you will definitely love this. I mean, hell, if you saw the new Snow White and you didn't like it, go watch Screamboat, because a horror Snow White movie would be better. I mean, I guess they already made Snow White and the Huntsman, but still, it would have been better than that trash. But yeah, definitely check it out. It'll probably be streaming sooner than later because I think it was only in the theaters for a while. No one probably fucking watched it because no one knew what it was. I don't think think there was any marketing for it, even though the commercials were hilarious. But definitely check it out. And again, the fact that David Howard Thornton is playing Willie, I mean, congrats to him. You know, he is definitely a horror cultural icon now because of playing Art, you know, in Terrifier. And again, if you haven't seen the Mean One, I'll go ahead and post my review in the description so you can at least watch that. But that is a total one-off that you should watch, because, especially if you love the Grinch, because, you know, if you ever thought, man, the Grinch could totally kill people. Yeah, he does. He actually does. But yeah, this has been Ghost in the Craig. Thank you so much for tuning in. Like, share, and subscribe. This was an amazingly beautiful bloodbath ever after. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.